Hello, everybody. Welcome. I hope all of you are doing well. Um, Thanks for joining in. Thanks for joining for this AMA. Now, I'll just give you a quick context. What is this AMA? What is this session for? This is basically a precursor to your main session. Set of three sessions that we are going to be having starting from tomorrow. 2 to 5 p.m. on day one and day two. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we'll be having these sessions from 2 to 5 p.m. And on Monday, we will be having this session on from 7 to 10 p.m. Right. So I have just, I just wanted to come here and chat with all of you guys and take any questions that you might have before we actually begin with our boot camp. Right. So that's the purpose of doing this. I am Abhishek Parikh. I will be uh, basically participating in the boot camp as well. So you'll be seeing me across the 3 days, starting tomorrow. Before I start taking your questions, firstly, if you have any questions, any doubts before we start, of course, we'll be answering all of your questions, all of your doubts in the boot camp as well. But before we even begin, if there are any basic questions, anything that you would like to ask me, please feel free to do that. But before I take on your questions, let's just do some context setting. Why is it that we are really doing this? Okay, so what I can gather is that most of you've spent 25, 30, or even 40 years building careers, specializing in specific domains, right? So what we are going to be talking about is not starting over, but how it is that you can utilize your already existing experience. You could be still working, or you could have already retired. You are maybe going to retire in the coming years or coming months. So this is basically the set of people who we will be catering to in this boot camp, right? Now I have a question for you that I need you to sit with. Okay, so what do you actually want to do with your experience that you've attained over the years? You might be in a senior position right now, or you may have retired, but do you think that there are there is some kind of opportunities that you could channel your already existing experience in? What most professionals do is, once they retire, they basically fade quietly into a comfortable but hollow retirement, right? But this is exactly what we'll be talking about over 3 days, how it is that you can in fact become invincible in your senior years. The fact that you've attained a lot of experience over these years, you may, again, like I said, you may be retired, or you may be on the verge of retiring, or maybe you are some years basically before retirement right now, but still you have some time on your hands. You want to do more with your time, right? You want to basically experience more. So that is basically what becoming an independent director is about, and that is what we will be talking about through and through over the coming 3 days. Now, why does this matter right now so much? What is the opportunity that exists right now? So, the thing is that India has roughly 50,000 companies legally required to appoint IDs as of right now. 373 IPOs hit the market in 2025, and over 1,000 are expected in the next 2 years. So India basically needs 100,000 IDs by 2030, and I will break this up for you tomorrow, and I will show you how this calculation goes to 100,000. But look at these numbers. There's a requirement of 100,000 IDs as we speak, right? And only 27,000 have cleared the exam so far, right? So there is a huge gap which exists, which a lot of people can basically fulfill. But the thing is that not a lot of people are aware about this. There's not enough awareness of this. And do you know what? Top IDs earn 3 to 6 crore a year, up to 3 to 6 crore a year, even at entry level. 4 to 5 SME boards, if you have, you can comfortably earn over 20 lakhs annually, right? So this is something which is happening, and we would like to share all of this with you in the coming 3 days, right? As a retired professional, now the thing is that since you have attained a lot of experience, you have an unfair advantage, because startups want people, and there are startups opening in all different domains. Now, before anybody asks me this question, which I get asked a lot when we are conducting boot camps, that I am from a specific experience, will ID positions be there for me? Remember that there are businesses in every single domain. Just think of your domain that you have experience in, and see if there are businesses coming up in those domains. Are there existing businesses in those domains? Are there businesses which are coming up in those domains? If you are not aware of any such businesses, you can Google it, and you will find that there are businesses in every single domain. We have a student who was from agriculture background. Right now, agriculture background is a very niche background to have, but she was able to attain an ID position with a startup which was focusing on agriculture, right? So she basically got quick service. She got an ID position with a quick delivery platform. They were delivering fresh produce of meat as well as vegetables. So that is something that her experience could be utilized. That somewhere her experience could be utilized, and she got that position, right? So this is something which can happen for you as well. Having said that, it's not the case that one can only thrive in a particular as an ID in a particular business in which they have experience in. We have numerous examples of people who have gone on to become independent directors, which at places which had really not gotten anything or much to do with their own domain, right? So we'll talk about all of this in detail in the coming 3 days. Now, before I start taking up your questions, let me just tell you what it is that the agenda for the coming 3 days is. So on day one, we will be talking about the specific opportunity. What is the eligibility? What are the earnings? The truth about legal risks. Are there any risks to becoming an ID? The IIC exam, plus the brand new ID openings for due to RBI and SEBI, which have created REITs, fintech, NBFCs, and asset reconstruction companies. I'll walk you through why the gap is widening and widening, and why there is such a huge requirement of independent directors today. Then on day two, we will look at the Brahmastra, which is a 3-step strategy to network with merchant bankers, 6-month roadmap to build your personal brand, and how to deliver a TEDx talk, and a unique exercise to visualize your life 2 years from now. That's a very interesting exercise. A lot of students really like it. It's very meditative in nature. So I'm sure that all of you will also like it. Then on day three, we will look at some very good hands-on skills with respect to networking with CFOs and company secretaries, spotting IPO-worthy companies in your own network, getting PR coverage, getting published on top podcasts, getting a book deal, finding SME IPO candidates on the MCA website, and walking confidently into your first board meeting. How exactly is it that the board meetings are conducted? How do you have to basically prepare yourself for those meetings? All of these things we will be talking about through and through on day three, right? So this is basically what I wanted to say. Now I will take your questions, right? So Bhupendra is asking by which link we can directly apply for IIC exam. Bhupendra, you can just go and search for IIC exam. You will find the link to register. It's a very it's a highly recurring exam. It keeps on happening every almost every day there is a slot, and once you register, you will be eligible to appear for the exam for some time. And it's a very easy exam as well, and this is also something that we will be talking about through and through in the bootcamp. Okay, so Muhammad Iqbal is saying, I am from Jammu. I am retired senior professional having 37 years of experience in project planning and corporate governance. That's great. Corporate governance is exactly what being an ID is about. So that is something that again we will be talking about. You should definitely try it out, Mohammed. I'm sure. I at least hope that you will be joining us across the 3 days. You will get so many insights, and there's so much that you can do with the already existing experience that you've had, right? So I'm excited to see you in the bootcamp, Muhammad. Sachitra Narayan. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. MCOM, LLB from accounting background. What will be suitable for me and how to start? Again, the specific experience that you might have, you will be able to utilize it in some, or with respect to some or the other business. Like I said, it's not something which absolutely has to be the case. You don't absolutely have to have the specific background, sorry, the specific background which has to be utilized for a specific business. That's not the case. You can still find a lot of businesses who are who will be willing to take you on. You just have to prove your medal, right? But Sachitra Narayan, I was not able to understand your specific background. So you have accounting background, so there are so many financing startups today. So I'm sure there are so many different things that you can do, so many different places that you can apply it, but you have to network, right? And that is what we will be talking about. You have to build your personal brand. That is what we will be talking about through and through in the upcoming sessions, right? So that's that. um, I've been in procurement field, various levels, 35 plus years of experience. Again, same, this is something which applies to everybody, guys. Whatever experience that you have, I am sure that, like I said, an experience as niche as agriculture is also something which has been utilized by businesses. So I'm sure that there is some or the other business which will be very happy to take you on as an independent director. You again have to again become visible for them firstly, right? You have to create that visibility for yourself first, and once you do that, then sky is the limit, right? You already have a certain experience. You have to now make it seen. That is what matters, right? And once you start making it seen, then the game changes, and that is what we'll be talking about, right? Okay, other questions, guys? Does anybody have any other questions? I don't see any other questions in the chat box. Any like I said, we will be covering a lot of different things um, through the boot camp. But if you have any questions for now, how much time it takes to become an ID? So we have had people, we have seen people who have attained ID positions within as less as 6 months, 6 to 12 months, right? It's again something that what takes time is you are not actually, you don't per se need to attain a lot of new skills, but what you need to do is, and what takes time is, to build your personal brand, right? So basically to create your visibility on different kind of channels. Everybody is online today, right? So how do you create that digital presence for yourself? That is what matters. But it is something that can happen within as less as 6 months, again considering the fact that you are at it regularly, right? Banker, 32 years of experience. Again, the same thing. You should, yes, absolutely, you should start to consider for ID positions. If you will start right now, then you will, again, when the time comes, you will have these particular positions in your hand. And remember, to become an ID, you don't need to leave your job. Becoming an ID is almost never considered as moonlighting. Employers never have a problem with people, having ID positions, holding ID positions at other businesses. That's not something that is again a problem. So it is not something which happens, and you don't have to think that पहले मुझे retire होना पड़ेगा in order to get ID positions. That's not the case. If that is something that you're thinking, you must not. So you should get started right away, right? So that's that. Firdaus is asking, what exactly is an independent director? So an independent director is basically a specific number of directors that a company has to have, a business has to have, be it listed company, they have to have certain number of independent directors, and in some cases unlisted companies also. I will tell you tomorrow what are the specific criteria. But an independent director is basically a person who is not really involved as much with the company as the board of directors. They have to attend specific meetings on an yearly basis. In a year there are specific meetings, in a month there are specific meetings that they have to attend. They have to advise the particular business. They have to look at certain compliances which have been met. Are these compliances being met by the company, right? But their role is, again, they are called independent because they are not completely involved with the company. In fact, by the way, if you are independent director with one company, it doesn't mean that you can only be you can only hold the independent director position with that particular business, you can do this for multiple businesses as well, right? Which means that again there is an independent element to it, and you are not really bound by the company, and you're paid per meeting. Mostly how independent directors are paid is per meeting, and the starting fee for independent directors is somewhere close to 25 to 30,000 rupees. That's the starting of it. I have just told you the limit, the ceiling is that people are basically earning 3 to 6 crores per year. So imagine how much they are charging per meeting. And this is something which is happening. It's not something which is just a blown up figure. You can go and check. It is something which is happening. I'll also show this to you tomorrow, right? What is the curriculum for ICA? We will talk about it. It's not very difficult. There are certain legal, aspects that you have to look at. Certain, company laws and some certain other acts with respect to corporate governance and corporate law that you have to take care of. But it's an MCQ exam. It's very easy to give. And I'll basically tell you tomorrow how easy it is. We'll also look at certain examples of the kind of questions that are asked, right? So that's that. After clearing IIC exam, is there any support provided to get impaneled as ID? So clearing the IIC exam is just one part of it. A lot of people, most of the people, in fact, who just clear the IIC exam are not able to become independent directors, because IIC exam is just doing the bare minimum that will get you that will basically make you eligible to be independent director. But then there is a lot of other work that you have to do, which is basically personal branding. It is not difficult, but you have to realize firstly you have to realize what is to be done, and only then you will be able to do it, right? So that's that. And that is what we will be talking about. We'll be sharing so many strategies with you in the coming days, which will help you build your personal brand and get started. And remember, you don't have to start applying all of this only after you become an independent or after you clear your IIC exam. That's not the case. You can work on both of these things simultaneously, right? So that by the time you clear the exam, you actually have built a brand for yourself. You've built a recognition for yourself. You have people who you have networked with, so that you can attain the positions that you would want to, right? So that's that. Mohammed, so for now, we are just holding this 3-day boot camp. Join us. We are going to be sharing these strategies with you, which will help you. We'll look at what is the opportunity, what is the gap that lies. We'll talk about how the IC exam. We'll talk about the certain specific skills which will help you create your personal brand, which will help you make outreach for create a kind of outreach for yourself. All of this. So that is what we are currently doing, right? So Dr. Krishna is saying that they are already an ID. So again, we will be sharing, and you'll see tomorrow. I will ask this: how many of you are already IDs? And you'll see there are so many people who give IIC exam, because IIC exam giving and then passing the IIC exam is not that difficult. A lot of people are able to pass the exam, and that doesn't guarantee that you will secure an ID position. Like I said, there are a lot of other factors that need to be looked at. You have to again create that visibility for yourself, Dr. Krishna. So I hope that you will be joining us across all 3 days. I promise you that you will take away a lot of insights that will help you then finally get started to build a personal brand for yourself. Again, that in turn will help you get appointed as an independent director, right? Is there a minimum education requirement? Actually, no. You have to have your 10+2 certification, and that's about it. It's not something wherein you have to be a CA or a CS. That's not the case. In fact, the thing is that CAs and CS are exempt from they are not really per se required to give the IIC exam. They are exempt from it. But we also talk about why it is not something which is particularly advised. So do tune in tomorrow. I'll share this with you, that despite of this exemption, why this is not something which is a good idea to be exercised per se. So if any of you who are CAs and CS, I'll see you tomorrow, and we will talk about the reasons as to why even CAs and CS should not really do without giving the exam, right? So that's that. The ISE exam is basically the exam uh, which is conducted by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and they are this the exam is essentially the exam which makes you eligible to become an independent director. Okay, so that's basically how it works. It is mandatory, as in if you want to become an independent director, if you want to function as an independent director, you should give the ISE exam, right? It is highly advised. 52 years already certified. How to get? I have already answered your question, Dr. Krishna. Which question are you referring to? I was just talking about it right now. Any other questions that anybody has before we end the session? Um, any final questions? I will see all of you tomorrow. What skills do the companies look at to hire anyone as ID? So specific companies will have specific requirements, right? So again, it is dependent on the area that they are functioning in. If they are a tech company, they'll be looking for somebody who understands technology. If they are an agricultural company, they will be looking for somebody who understands specific agriculture. But it depends also. They might have specific needs. For instance, a tech company might be looking for somebody who has the specific understanding of finances, or an agricultural company may be looking for somebody who knows tech because they want to develop an app. For instance, they want to work on, they basically want to digitize everything that they are doing, so they will need somebody who understands technology. So it is not something which can categorically be said that acha, this is the set of things that are required to become an ID, or this is the set of skills that are required to become an ID. When you are an ID, basically the company is looking for certain kind of advice from you, right? And the fact that you have attained specific amount of experience, of course, all of you, most of you have a specific number of experience with you. You can utilize the same experience to become an ID. Maybe it could be within the exact field that you are functioning in, or it could be apart from it as well. Like I just gave the example that an agricultural company might need somebody who is from agriculture sector, but they might need somebody who's from finance sector as well, because they're a business after all. They might be looking for somebody who is from tech as well, because again they want to develop an app for there's an app running and functioning, right? They have to look at the various kinds of consents that they have to be taking to be able to stay on the internet, right? So that's that. What are the basics required? So again, you have to go back and see what are your skills. Azmat, that is what I will be able to tell you. You have to go and check. You have been working for some time now, you have attained certain set of skills, right? So you have to go back and check what is it that you can offer, and that's how you will get that answer yourself, right? So that's that. Does clearing the exam have a validity period? So once you register, I believe we will talk about it. You have the you have to basically, once you register, you have to pass the exam within 1 year. But I mean, you can choose for any slot and then appear within 1 year, right? So that's how it works. But it's something which is very, very easy. It is not something that you have to really be worried about. It is something which you can easily um, pursue. We have had a lot of people, we've seen a lot of people who've been able to do it, along with doing something like, if you are able to even give a couple of hours every single day to prepare for the exam, you're good, right? So that's that. Kanan, we for now, we are only giving this particular boot camp. That is all this is about. So all the details, everything, the kind of skills that could be utilized, everything will be shared in the boot camp. I'll see you in the boot camp, and I'll answer, and you'll basically get answers to any on and all of your questions, right? That's that. Okay. Any further questions that anybody has before we close the session? All right. So I'll see you then tomorrow. If you have any questions, do not worry. Bring them tomorrow I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. We are going to be having a very, very, insightful set of days. And this is something that you've do. That I'm sure you're looking forward to do. Firdaus has asked a very good question. Should I be worried about being held responsible for company fraud? No. Independent directors, again, this is something that we have covered in the bootcamp for you. We will deal with it, in detail. But to answer your question, you don't have to worry about it as long as you have documented everything, every kind of communication that you've had with the company. You have a track of everything. You don't really need to worry about the fraud that may have been conducted in the company without your knowledge, right? So there have been instances wherein independent directors liabilities have been upheld. Basically the courts, the law has talked about the fact that independent directors are not going to be liable in such cases, because a lot of times IDs are not really privy to whatever is happening in the company internally, such as a fraud. So you don't have to worry about that. That is not something that should hold you back to be pursuing ID positions, right? The procedure we will talk about, Neeraj. Don't worry. For registering for ISC exam, don't worry. We will talk about it. Okay, so that's about it from my end, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining in. And I'll see you tomorrow sharp at 2. Thank you. Bye.